Some animals get lost on the street and then are taken to a shelter. This pup was returned to the shelter 11 times. Why? He kept escaping. He may have broken out of his homes, but he won our hearts. Learn the unique story of Gumby. According to the ASPCA, 6.5 million pets enter shelters each year. Many of these animals may be adopted, and others may be released to rescues or no-kill shelters. Unfortunately, it's sad that most animals can't get homes. Some people may even return the animals they adopted after they find they aren't a good fit, or they have a sudden crisis and can no longer care for the pet. Gumby, the dog, was adopted and went to a home, but he had other things on his mind. Gumby is a hound mix at the Charleston Animal Society in Charleston, South Carolina. He was first found at age 3 or 4 while wandering the streets. Luckily, he found shelter at the Charleston Animal Society. Despite his days as a stray, Gumby was affectionate, healthy, and a beautiful dog. They knew he'd be adopted quickly. Gumby was adopted. However, he soon returned to the shelter. The first adoption lasted 3 days. Then he was adopted again, but would only last for a period of 6 days. His third adoption, Gumby had enough and decided to make a break for it. Where did he go? Yes, Gumby returned to the shelter. He escaped and was dropped off by a good Samaritan who spotted the pup wandering around town. Then, after Gumby went back to his home, he again got out, and animal control picked him up this time. The dog really got around. The shelter tried all they could to make it so that Gumby wouldn't leave. They gave him a female hound friend, offered training to the adopters, and worked with rescue groups. Gumby came back. Finally, his adopter decided to surrender him. The decision was a hard one for the owner, who had become bonded with Gumby. But each time the dog escaped, there was fear he would be injured, or worse. Maybe another family would have the magic trick that would keep Gumby home where he belonged. The staff at CAS warned potential adopters about the dog's incredible escapes. A fourth adopter decided to try and give a home to Gumby. That adoption lasted 4 blissful months, and CAS knew the dog was in a happy home. They thought it was forever, but it wasn't. The dog finally showed up again as a stray on July 5th. They were at their wits' end. Maybe the 5th adopter would be the charm? The 5th adopter took Gumby home on August 22nd, but the relationship would only last 2 months. Yes, Gumby pulled a Houdini and escaped. This time he was at a sister shelter 30 miles from Charleston. The pup had gone on a long excursion. A follow-up adoption, this one the 6th the dog had, fell through. The adoption had begun on December 6th, 2015, and lasted until January 4th, 2016. Why? Well, the owner said that Gumby had escaped 3 times in that period. It was too much, especially since the dog had even busted the screen door in his attempt to flee the house. Gumby was also having trouble with housebreaking. The staff noticed something different about Gumby when he was in a home. He didn't try to escape the shelter like he did the home. Maybe there was something to that. And maybe Gumby was at his home all along. The staff of CAS also noticed something else special about Gumby. CAS gets a lot of animals, and there's always plenty of commotion. The staff watched Gumby and realized he was very empathetic. He seemed to adjust his behavior based on how another dog felt. If a dog were fearful and suffering from anxiety, he would be gentle and deliberate in an attempt to comfort them. If they were reactive and angry, he would remain calm. This was a great revelation for the behavior team leader at CAS, Danya Satrail. He knows he has work to do, she said about his frequent visits to the shelter. Gumby then became a vital member of the behavior team and was there to demonstrate behavior as needed. He also helped new dogs transition into the shelter and was the official greeter for doggy playgroups. Gumby even helped kittens. He was a donor of blood, specifically the white cells that could be extracted from the blood. These cells would be used to help kittens' eye infections. Ever the patient boy, Gumby would donate blood. Gumby was described as a great co-worker and was clearly a joy to be around. The staff loved sharing his photos on social media, and Gumby made quite a splash as an escape artist. But he wouldn't remain at the shelter for very long. The staff didn't know it, but one more adoption would happen for their little Houdini. John Martin worked at the CAS since the day Gumby first arrived at the shelter and knew the dog extremely well. The pup was a staff favorite, but Martin was close to Gumby. He even began taking him home occasionally for the weekend. Gumby then fell for John's wife, Joanne. The two loved Gumby as much as they could on these brief visits. In November of 2016, the Martins decided to leave South Carolina and move to New York City. John wondered, could they take Gumby? The answer was yes. John said he begged his wife to do so, and she immediately said yes. Now, Gumby was off to the big city. Would he escape? The Martins arrived in New York City with Gumby and began making a new life in the Big Apple. Gumby loved the couple, but he'd always been an escape artist, so the first few days of living in their new home may have been worrisome. The Martins didn't need to worry, though, because Gumby never tried to escape. He knew he was finally home. Gumby now has an Instagram account, and his fans can follow his exploits. His owners love to take shots of him playing, sleeping, and just having fun. The Martins started the account in October of 2017 and have consistently shared pictures of the pup. And if you were wondering what type of dog he is, the Martins finally took a DNA test. He was revealed as mainly English Pointer with Whippet and Greyhound mixed in. The Martins say that Gumby loves New York, especially the parks. Here's a beautiful shot of Gumby reflecting on life at Carl Schwartz Park. The move also helped him slim down, thanks to all of that walking in the big city. The spring 2018 issue of CAS's Carolina Tales shared this update and let all of his fans know that Gumby was living a great life.